Hi, guys.
Hi.
All right. I am Gail with Gail's Southern Living. If you happen to be on Lynda's channel, we are co streaming together. She is streaming on her channel as well. I wanted to welcome in some people: Jamie's Country Living, Blackberry Rock Homestead, Simply Jan Homestead, and Jennifer Ocean Homestead.
And the Bud Files.
And the Bud Files. Welcome in, the Bud Files.
Jaden. Hi,
So,
everyone.
hello, Jaden. We decided that we both had some similar things that maybe we would get together and talk about family members that had drug addiction problems. So,
And what that does to the family and the difficulties that we have to go through.
yeah, the
So,
difficulties. I wrote down a couple of quotes, and let's see. I'm trying to think which one would be the best. This one says, addiction doesn't kill the addict, it kills the family, kids, and people who tried to help them. Just a few quotes I pulled up to read out loud during this live. I just found some that I thought were really good and profound. So
I
thank
think
you.
that particular quote, Gail, is extremely profound because it's exactly true.
hmm But I was also thinking after I read it, sometimes it does kill the addict too.
Sometimes it
I was
does.
also thinking that. Hello, Lone Cross MTP. Welcome in. If you guys are hearing us, if you would share this out in your community tab to get a few more people in here, that would be awesome.
Yes, that would be awesome. Please do that.
You want to start? You want to start with talking some about your family member with addiction?
Yeah, let me give you a little background. I'll give everyone a little background. I I've always had a difficult time talking about uh, when it hits that close to home because of my background. I was the director of several drug and alcohol programs at a large nationwide wide nonprofit organization, and I had 5 drug and alcohol programs that I oversaw, and 3 of them were families with addictions. So it was mainly mothers and children. And so all the time I was working, I struggled in my home with family members having addictions. My father was an addict. He was an alcoholic. He was a very high functioning alcoholic. He'd drink and early in the morning, but he worked constantly and nobody ever knew. My mother, she struggled with addictions as well, and hers was prescription uh, Valium and so forth. I myself struggled from eating disorders and was actually even in a treatment center for eating disorders for about 6 weeks. I was anorexic and um, really went through several years of difficulty with that. But that was a lot different than when it hits home with somebody you're very close to and somebody like your children or your grandchildren. And my grandson, who happens to be the only child of my son that passed away, has gone through tons and tons and tons of treatment and uh, serious addictions to about everything. And I mean, I'm literally about everything. And now this young man who's 24 is facing time in prison because of his addictions. And he's sitting in jail, and I probably will never see him again in my lifetime being my age. And that's a sad thing to think about, but chances are that's the truth of it. And so I think it's so important, Gail, that you do talk about it, because when you
Yeah.
don't talk about it, trying to keep up a facade or trying to you know,
Yes.
ashamed of talking about what's going on in
Oh,
your
I
family.
know. I was
You know,
ashamed
yeah,
to talk about what happened with my sister. And the part I really never ever talked about, the dirty secret, as you will, was the background of all her problems
yeah,
was drug addiction. And it started with alcohol and then moved into other drugs. At one point, she admitted to me that she had taken meth.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And it's scary. It's scary. It's you know, some of these drugs are terrifying drugs, and
they
to
are.
think that you know, it becomes difficult for us to understand why would somebody intentionally want to choose to go that route,
Mhm.
because you know, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to most people. But it all starts with a little, you know, you can take an example. Say you've got this child who's 17 or 18 years old and he's never drank anything in his lifetime, and he goes through a crisis, and his buddy says, "Come on, I've got just the thing that's going to fix that." And he takes him out and gets him a beer. Well, he notices during that emotional state, that beer that he drinks, it made him feel better. So what's going to happen the next time he wants to feel better, when he's thinking about that and he's
He's going to go
mad
back.
again, he's going to go find something that's going to make him feel better.
Kind of dull the pain, you know.
Exactly. Exactly.
I spent a few years actually drinking myself, um, just kind of self medicating from some relationship problems that I was dealing with stress. I had a ex that actually ended up being a internet cheater, and I self medicated with alcohol. My sister and I spent a couple of years kind of rambling through bars and getting drunk until we, you know, God said, that's enough. And He halted us. So,
Yeah.
hello, Echo, Jamie, and Kathleen. Welcome in.
Welcome, everybody. Please share on your page if you haven't, on your community page.
Yeah, meant to numb us. That's right.
They, and exactly, that's exactly what they do. They numb you. And then
Mhm.
after you become addicted, the problem is that you initially used it to feel good, or you initially used it for the high, or you initially used it for whatever purpose you used it for.
But you need more and more and more each
Just,
time.
just to
So
feel normal.
eventually it could kill you. It could kill
Yeah.
you. Because my dad was an alcoholic and he spent years with alcohol. Well, that wasn't enough. So then he had to have hydrocodone and he had to have weed and he had to have this and that. And it just kept elevating. And this wasn't enough. I have to have more. And he had that addictive
Yeah.
personality. He just, and eventually, you know, it probably led to him dying sooner than he probably needed to,
Yeah.
because he
And
was so addicted.
it the addiction causes a lot of ugly, ugly things in families. You know, I mean, there's no way around it. There's absolutely no way around it. My grandson, he lived with us. His dad lived here. He lived with us. And I mean, he would just have these horrible, horrible outbursts, to the point where he was saying things that you can't even imagine he'd say. And causing fights, and you're worried to go to sleep at night, wondering if they're going to, what they're going to steal, or if they're going to break in the house, or if they're
Yeah,
that desperate, you know,
yeah,
that they're going to cause bodily harm. I mean, you never
yeah.
know.
That's the ugly truth. My sister Gretchen did actually steal from me. She did, and one of the times she did it, I was mad, and then she stayed with me another time, and I actually looked through there, and I was like, you know what? I don't really need any of that stuff, and I just let her keep it. I didn't
Yeah,
even, I didn't even say anything. I didn't say a word to her because I had way more stuff than her, and why did I need all that?
yeah,
And most of the time I would have just given it to her anyway. And every time she was here, I gave her stuff. I would have given her. I would have given her a wardrobe because I could have replaced it all. See, that's the thing. But I loved her to pieces, and I don't know if she felt that, but I think I got a chance to talk to her last boyfriend that she had. Now they were currently broken up when she got hit by the car, but he said that she spoke fondly of you always. So she did still, and he also spoke that she wanted to come back to our hometown and live there again. So she did have plans for the future. But the thing is, I would have sent her a ticket to our hometown. You know, I would have helped her in some way if I could have, but I never really got the opportunity. So that's how the Broken Hearts Ministry came about, is me wanting to help my sister, but I couldn't do anything for her. And I moped around in a depressive state for a long time. And I went and volunteered at the Open Door, but they didn't have any program that was really dedicated toward homeless. And my mom got together the 4 bags of food to give out to the homeless for the very first time on Christmas Eve. So on our way to my brother's house to do our Christmas Eve celebration, Mom and I handed out the first bags, and that was in December 2022. So we've been doing the ministry about 1.5 years.
And that's a wonderful way. It's a wonderful healing process for you and your mom, and it's also a wonderful way to honor your sister. And
yeah, it is.
Because Jennifer, you're so right. Most people do criticize, and I mean that's usually the first thing they do. They don't understand addiction, and they don't understand it to be a disease. And when I say it is a disease, it's a disease. I know from the scientific aspect of it, they've gone back and they found genetic markers that mark people that have addictions. And so, if you're prone to have an addiction, there's a genetic marker there somewhere in your sequence. And so then people really don't know who that's going to be. They don't know if they have those markers.
Yeah.
So you're always playing Russian roulette,
Yeah. I have another quote here. I thought this was an interesting one. Drugs take you to hell disguised as heaven.
It's exactly true.
Because it feels like heaven at the time. But then, like, if you're drinking the next day, you have a hangover, you feel dehydrated, your body doesn't feel right. And the older you get, it's harder to recover from those things. But I can't speak as to how a drug, after you have drugs, how that feels the next day. I can only speak about alcohol because that's all I have the personal experience with. But the very last time my sister was staying here, she was talking really crazy things. So I think she was either withdrawing from it or she was still doing it while she was here. And I had to make a decision at the time because I grew up with an alcoholic father, and she was getting drunk and acting crazy. And I had the kids here, and I had to make the decision to take her to Walmart, where she got picked up by the guy who took her to Colorado, and I didn't get to talk to her for 5 years. So I have the guilt of, I feel like I chose the children who are my stepdaughters over my own sister. That's the guilt I have about my sister's situation, is that I chose them over her. And why did I do that? She was my own family, my blood family. And I was like, oh my gosh.
And I don't see it as that you chose them.
Yeah.
There gets to be a point where you can only do what you can do. I as a grandparent can only do what I could do. And I had to stop giving my grandson money. I had to stop, tell him, set boundaries, saying, no, you could never live here. unless you knew that you were totally clean and sober and had been that way for years, but now it's too late, you know. But I had to set boundaries because if you don't, you'll lose your sanity. And that's the simple fact of it. You lose your sanity. And
Yeah.
children need to be protected, just like
Yes.
Dan said. Children
And
need to
that's
be
what I was
protected.
trying to do, because like I experienced my whole childhood of having an alcoholic father, and my dad would get drunk and he would raise hell and throw things around the house. He was never physically abusive, but mentally he did things that mess with me. That's why I'm insecure. And I may seem very put together, but I do have moments where I'm very insecure, and that came from having an alcoholic father who was calling me names. Like he was calling me 4-letter words that you should not be calling your daughter, which those things were not true about me. I was still a very innocent girl at that time. So he was speaking words about me that weren't true. And I think that kind of caused the events of the next few years of my life of, drinking and going out with people I probably shouldn't have.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sure it definitely has to play a role in your development as an adolescent. When adult children of alcoholics share many similar traits all across the world, because
mhm.
whether the parent was uh, an abuser or whether he was like my dad. Most people would never have known my dad was an alcoholic. My mother, on the other hand, you could tell she was addicted to drugs.
Yeah,
But it doesn't matter because they're having that relationship with that drug or that drink. They're not having the relationship they should be having with their children or with their spouse or with the people they work with or their friends. They've made a choice, and this is where it's really important to understand. Yeah, it's tragic what happens with them, but there's still a level of accountability. They made that choice. Whether they were, initially they made that choice when they were sober. Now they're making that choice out of desperation. And it's terrible, but children have to be protected first. And so you
yes.
made the right decision there.
I did, but after the fact, it was really, really painful. I have another quote here. Addiction, the disease that makes you selfish to not see the havoc you created for the people in your lives that you've shattered. So the addiction is blinding you into this selfishness, and you don't realize till all of it's over that you've made a mess, and you made a mess, and maybe that's why my sister Gretchen wasn't upset anymore at me, because she realized that all the things she did kind of snowballed, and that's how it all happened, because all I did was give to her, and it was never enough. But the thing is, I would have given her the world. She could have stayed here a long time if she would have just acted somewhat normal or good, or somewhat family oriented. It's like she got to a point where she didn't know how to be just a family. Like she had to have her cup, which was a secret Kool-Aid with vodka or something. It's like she couldn't function without something. Like she couldn't just, not have it. She always had to have something. And it's sad that they are to the point where they can't function without like anything. That's,
And the problem goes further because when you do keep them at home in that condition,
yeah,
when you do allow it, you're enabling. You become the enabler. You
yeah,
become their biggest enabler, and so you actually make their addiction worse. You
yeah.
don't make it better.
She
the more
probably
you
would have
give,
stayed here and started asking me for money and started stealing things to do her stuff. So yeah, you're right. It's probably good that she, stayed a short time and left. But it's just so hard. When I got the call, you know, uh, basically my sister was walking with her backpack and 2 bags full of food. She was homeless in Colorado, and she walked out in front of a car, and the lady hit her and killed her.
it's tragic. It's so
It was
tragic.
very
I'm so
tragic.
sorry
So
for your loss.
we didn't know if they would ever even call us if something happened to her. But it took them a week to find my mother. But they found a phone number and they called my mom. And my mom, I think she got the call at midnight, but I didn't get the call till the next morning. And it just messed me up because I really looked up to my sister, and we weren't a wealthy family, so we spent many years just sleeping in the same bed. We were very close, and there were many years where she did bad things to people, including me, because of her addiction. But I still loved her, and I still loved her to pieces, and I hope that she knows that her name has brought so much to other people. I hope she knows that.
Yeah. Trying to read Jennifer's comment. Often people can't control over.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
they can control over. I can't imagine the things that might happen to you when you're out there homeless. Um, Occasionally, my family had this thing where we'd look her up on the prison sites to see if we could find her, because she had been in and out of prison for DWIs, and I think maybe even assault or something at some point. But she had been in and out of, and we liked it when it sounds terrible. We kind of liked it because we knew she was safe, we knew she was eating, and she wasn't doing the drugs, hopefully. Um, and we could write her letters and like put money on the book so she could buy like a candy bar or something. I mean, you know, she at one point we looked at her and she had something was wrong with her eye. Like, she had got hit or in an accident. Something happened to her. She had some problems with her eye, and my mom asked, and they didn't know what was wrong with her eye. But and when I saw her laying there in the hospital, it looked like her eye had healed up from whatever had happened to her. But I can imagine all the trauma being a homeless woman by yourself, what kind of trauma that would bring.
Yeah. I can imagine. And you know, you go through a gamut. My grandson was homeless for a while after I told him he couldn't live here anymore. And that, I mean, he just continued to spiral out. He wasn't spiraling any faster. He was spiraling at the same pace he was when he was here. But now he's in the jail, not that far from us. And I tried for 3 months. I went and visited him once a month. But I'd sit in that parking lot, Gail, and I just get teary eyed and couldn't, get to a point where I couldn't do it. It was like going to a funeral for me after losing my son that died, his dad. And
Uh,
it just was heartbreaking, knowing
does
that
he
he
does he
faced.
communicate? I mean, is he happy to see you? Does he write you letters? I
He
mean,
writes me letters, and I write him. I talk to him on the phone at least 2 or 3 times a week. I put money on his books and put phone time on his phone, and so I do talk to him. I just can't go in there. It's just too big of a emotional whatever for me.
yeah,
I
I
tried.
can understand.
Yeah, I just can't do it.
Yeah,
But and I think Jennifer's right. It's better that they're in prison, in jail, because you at least know where they are, and you know that to some degree they're safe. It depends on what they're in there for and who
yeah,
they're roommates are and so forth, but at least they're safer than they were out on the streets because
Yeah.
you don't know what they're doing.
Hello, I bring it every day. Welcome in. So we're just talking about family members with the addiction problems, and I've never really publicly talked about Gretchen's drug addiction, or even really the ugly side of Gretchen, but she would get drunk and say bad things. She would get, she would call, leave me messages, and my mom, we kind of joke around, now that time's passed, a little bit of time's passed. We're like, I sure wish she'd call and cuss me out or something, so I could just hear her voice, because that was a communication you got from her. Sometimes it would be something like that, but
I know, and it's better to think about those things. And I have to do that with my son that passed away. I just think about how much she loved you and how much you loved her, and don't blame yourself.
no, don't blame yourself. God wouldn't want us to. He doesn't want it to stop. Like Gretchen's death was meant to bring my mom and I our calling, because it started out for Gretchen, right? But now, after a year and a half, it's not just about Gretchen anymore. It's our calling. It's my calling. My mom said, she's 77 years old. She said, I will do this for the rest of my life. As long as I have breath, I will do this. And I said, wow, that's a really big commitment. And I hope, I can honor that as well. I would love to also make that same proclamation that I would do it forever. But in a way, I've kind of already thought about it, that if something happened to to my mom, who does this with me, I could maybe go out with Charlotte, who is our volunteer, or my husband. I want to keep it going, because I know, as things go, parents don't last forever. So tell them you love them today. And those grandkids and kids and sisters, tell them all you love them, because you never know when you're going to lose one of them.
Exactly.
That's my opinion.
It's totally true. Totally true.
Hello, it all adds up. Welcome in.
You have to be sure, because my grandson, he probably had total 3 vehicles leading up to him being arrested.
Yeah.
And
I don't even know how many arrests she had, or I don't even know exactly how many times she was in prison. I think it's at least 3, maybe 4 or 5, but there's a lot. She actually had a court date, and that's the last time I saw her. She was right in here in the utility room. We made up a little bed for her and everything. This is before we had the living room in there. We made up a little room for her to stay right in here. And we took her to a court date. Well, she had a lot of, not making excuses for her, but she had a lot of trauma. She left her husband that was cheating on her to go with his best friend, who she lived with for many years, who also ended up cheating on her. And literally a week after she moved out, he already had another girl in there. So she goes in there and she starts ripping up all the clothes of this girl and all the things. And my sister has this court date. She goes to Colorado. We send her money for a bus ticket, get her back here. And they threw it all out of court because she was still on the lease. That was still her house. She had literally, who does that? Who cheat? That proves he was cheating on her while she was still there, because how would he have gotten someone to move in with him that quickly? You're smooth, guy, but not that smooth. You know what I mean? So she was angry, but I understand. I would have been angry too. but that's the kind of stuff that happened to her, you know. Of course, my dad was an alcoholic, so every time we would get in trouble for something, my sister would be the one getting whipped because she was the oldest and everything, and she was the more outgoing personality, so she got the brunt of the punishment, and I had to sit there and watch her, you know, get whooped with the belt, and I hated it. I'm like, would you just whip me? Because sympathy pain could just kill me. Like, I cannot stand to watch people suffer or hurt. Like, I just can't stand it. It just broke me up, you know. So I'm the one that was always on Gretchen's side because I loved her. No matter all the bad things she did, I just continued to love her. And nobody else, me and my mom, are really the only two that feel that way.
God loved her. God loved her, and He loves you, and He, you know, He's blessed you with sweet spirit, and He's gave you this opportunity. And sometimes we don't know His plan. I mean, we don't know His plan. And maybe it was because He knew you couldn't reach her, but you could reach other people. And so we have to take a step back and realize that sometimes He's got our back. We just don't understand it, how He's doing
Right. Yeah. He can see, you know, the whole picture. When I can just barely see a pinhead, he sees the whole entire picture. And I know uh, that it was meant to be. But you know, I still miss her. I wish I could.
it. I know. And I trust me, I do. I know how I get it. It's having lost 3 kids. I just, it becomes you can't help but miss them, and I'm trying not
Yeah.
to be fearful here. Because
Sorry.
no, that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, I didn't know that was coming. It's sporadic, you know. It just comes on its own, you know. You don't know
Yeah.
it's coming.
I mean, I get it. I totally get it. But I always have to step back and tell myself, what must our Father in heaven feel when He sees His children run amok throughout the world,
Thank you.
turn their back on Him, and He's doing everything He can to get them to come back to Him, and they're refusing to do so.
I know. It's true.
They're making that choice, okay? And people make choices, and as much as we can't understand that, and we can't agree with it, they're still going to make their choices.
Yeah,
It,
they were her choices. She had some hard blows in her life, and she did the best she could with
yeah,
all of it. And
exactly. You only do as well as the tools you have.
yeah,
Okay, if
as
you
well as
don't,
you can.
if you don't have God in your life,
Yeah,
so you can utilize His tools.
she
You
had
only
him.
have.
She was the one that was intoxicated, but still talking about God. That was my sister.
Yeah.
So she had it in there. And we found out that my sister had been hospitalized a month before she passed away. She had COVID. And I don't think I'm supposed to say that. Oops. Well, maybe it'll just slip on by. Anyway, she had the sickness, and that was a month before she passed away. And I think what happened was my sister got so sick that she had like a come to Jesus moment there with him. And she repented, and she talked to him, and he said, I still love you, my child. And I feel like God put a peace over me to say that, you know, she had her deathbed confession, and then God said, you know what? You got everything right now. You're repented. You're back to pure as snow. So now,
I'm
okay,
taking you home so it can't happen again.
I'm going to take you out of this. I'm going to take you out of this world now, my child. You've had enough suffering. Uh, I'm going to take you now. And that's what I feel like happened. And that's what I feel like he wanted me to know, so that I didn't feel so badly, that I could feel like, that she could look down. Maybe he would let her look down for a few minutes to see that her name went on to help many, many other people. So,
Yeah. And it has. Look, I mean,
and that's what the
look
pink is
what you're
for.
doing. Look what the ministry's doing.
Yeah, that's what the pink is for. My sister's favorite color was pink.
Yeah.
She was always wearing pink. So that's what the pink is for. The pink is for my sister. That's the color she always wore. That was her color. And that's why we decided to use pink. So that's what all the pink is for. The pink
That's
is for
awesome.
Gretchen.
That's awesome. Sporty strands. Oh, they pushed. Yeah, they did.
Let's see if I have another quote. Okay. Addiction, did I already say that one? Addiction is like a tornado that tears through a family, leaving destruction along the way.
And it really does tear through a family, leaving destruction all
Yeah,
along
it
the way.
does.
You
Yeah.
know, I'll never forget. My husband and I, we were trying to sell our house, and our grandson lived with us then, and he and he and his dad stayed there when we moved to our off-grid property. Stayed at the house while we were trying to sell it. Well, his dad would go to work, and he was in charge of making sure when the realtor brought somebody over to show the house, that the house was in order. Okay. The realtor called us on 3 different occasions saying it smells so bad like weed, and there's pipes laying here, you know. So we ended up selling our house for $20,000-$30,000 less because of our grandson. So yeah, it does. It goes through a family like a
Yeah.
tornado. Yeah, so you get instances like that over and over and over again. It's never going to change. And you have to expect that it's never going to change, because if you think it's like the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happens with the families. They do the same things over and over again and expect different
Yeah.
results. Well, I did this and this and this and this. Well, you've already done that and that and that and that. It
Yeah.
doesn't work.
My mom and dad bailed her out of jail. I don't even know how many times.
Yeah,
Crazy.
it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And you were talking about your insecurities because of being raised by your dad, and I know my dad never created the insecurities in me. I think it was probably my dear sweet mother, and I love her dearly. She's
Yeah.
in a nursing home now, but she would. I never had friends because I'd be so embarrassed to bring my friends over to
I
our
had
house.
friends, but I didn't bring them to the house.
Yeah.
Dad occasionally let me leave the house, but not too much.
Yeah.
But I would talk on the phone, and then I would be watching for the car. And then when I saw Dad, gotta go, Jennifer, click, because I knew I'd be in trouble for being on the phone. So I had friends on the phone, but they didn't come over and spend the night.
Yeah. And see, my friends, any friend that I had, I never got really close to them because I never wanted them to know. And when I
Absolutely.
did have a friend come and spend the night, we'd sit at the dinner table and she'd fall asleep in her food. My mom would. And it was so embarrassing and so
Yeah, it was
humiliating
embarrassing. Yeah.
that
I
it
think I
kept
had a
me.
couple of friends and they actually knew, so that made it easier but it wasn't like the big group of friends. It was like two friends knew and the rest of the people didn't know. So it was easier because, you know, I didn't have to lie. I didn't have to tell stories. I just said, you can't come spend the night because my dad's like a mess and we don't know what's going to happen. At any moment, there could be beans all over the floor and yelling. And, no, you don't want to come to my house. This is where chaos
Yeah.
happens, okay?
Yeah.
You don't want to be here. I remember my mom coming into my bedroom in the middle of the night, sitting on some kind of toy in our room, hiding from my father.
Yeah.
Or he she knew he wouldn't come in there to wake us up, so she was getting away from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
No, I just think about my childhood, and not that I didn't have a bad childhood, but it was not, there was many times that it just didn't feel safe to come home. That safe feel that you want when you go home. It just didn't
Yeah,
feel safe to come home. And I think because of that, it affected me and my developing friends when I became an adult. Because I'll tell you right now, you and Jan and Tony, aside from my husband and my kids and family, my close family, you're the first friends I've had in years.
oh really, golly, I would say that, well, I hate to admit this. I have more YouTube friends than I do real life friends because I don't know why. Um, I'm really actually a shy person. I really can only talk to people if I'm comfortable. If someone doesn't make me comfortable, I can't, like, even on a lives, people have suggested people to have on. I have to be comfortable with that person, or it makes me very nervous. You know what I mean? So, and that's why I didn't always do my best when I was doing interviews, because some people make me very nervous and some people make me very comfortable. And the people that make me uncomfortable, I did terrible on those interviews. I'm like, I might as well just get up and walk out right now because you're making me very uncomfortable. And I know I didn't say anything right. Hello, Rebecca Touch by Arm.
Thank you, Jan. Yeah, I'm I don't know that I'm shy, but I am an introvert. Okay. And I learned to be an introvert because of my childhood. It was easier to make me my best friend and stay in my head and do the things so I do a lot of lone stuff. And I think that's what it led to.
Yeah. But I have a lot of friends on here that I do actually talk to on the phone. And, I had a work injury, which is why I stopped working. And, and I've had enough healing that I could probably go back to work, but it's a really small town. And it's kind of one of those things, like, if you knew somebody, you could maybe get a nice office job that you could sit down and not have to lift a lot of things and be too hard. But in this town, it's just not going to happen. So I pretty much made YouTube my job. But when I call it a job, I'm not being cold and callous. It's my job, but I also have a lot of friends here. And,
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing my friends. And yeah, Jana's one of my favorite people. I actually got to talk on the phone with Jennifer Ocean Homestead earlier. She's really nice. Hi, Christy Betts.
How many people are on right now?
Yeah, that sounds like me. Yeah, 18.
Oh, will somebody please drop Lynda's link? She's lonely over there. There's nobody over there, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a couple of my friends could go over to Lynda's live instead of mine. That'd be cool. That'd be awesome. I can't
Yeah.
I can't see the number anymore of it, but I bet we're gonna probably get some replays on this. Well,
Well, do you have any questions
since
about
you have
addiction?
A captive audience. Yes, if you have any questions, put that in the chat. Since you have a captive audience, tell people about your channel. Tell them your channel name and what kind of things you do on your channel.
Well, initially, my channel started in 2008, and I was preaching. I mean, that's what I was doing. I'm an ordained minister. I was a preacher for a Southern Baptist church. I have 2 master's degrees, one in theological studies, and one in master's of divinity in chaplaincy. And we left the church and started a home church, my husband and I. And so that channel started around that. I was preaching a lot and doing a lot of that. Just I loved eschatology, and so I preach a lot of end time stuff because I've studied it so in depth. And
Yeah.
then I
That's
was
another
having,
discussion we can have for another day.
yeah,
I would love to have you come up and talk about some end time stuff. That would be very interesting. It would be
yeah,
interesting with your studies to see. I have actually probably this year, maybe a little bit last year, starting reading Revelations. I have always like put that off, thinking it's going to be really hard to read Revelations, but I think if you're a Christian and you feel like you're going the right direction, that Revelations is not scary because you have yourself right, and that
yeah.
that
I
you're
love,
close to him. You're talking to him. You
yeah,
have a relationship with him, and if things start going bad, the devil attacks Christians too. Okay, he attacks Christians too. Because I had a couple of days ago where I wasn't feeling too great about things. And God put into my mind the song called Fear is a Liar. And
mm-hmm.
it's a Zach Williams song, and it says, Fear is a liar. It'll take your breath, steal your happiness. He's going to tell you you're unworthy and you're not beautiful and all these things are wrong with you, and that's just fear. That's the devil, and the devil will attack you. Right on the brink of my getting monetized, I felt like the devil was attacking me because something was good was happening to the ministry, and all I got to say is, devil, just get out of my life, get out of my ministry, you know, just go away, go bye bye.
Yeah.
You don't want none of that.
I
Hello,
love
the
I
hillbilly.
love the book of Revelation. And like, to understand the book of Revelation, you have to understand the Old Testament. And that's what a lot of people, if you really truly want to understand the book of Revelation, you need to read the Old Testament. You need to read the prophets in the Old Testament. And then you need to do a lot of word searches and study so that you
Yeah,
get.
there's a dictionary for all the words in the Bible and what they mean.
Mhm.
And I think it would be really cool to maybe purchase that. I really didn't know it existed, but I was in Sunday school, and the Sunday school teacher was talking about it, and I was like, that would be really cool because occasionally they use words that I'm not sure about.
You
And
can
so,
go on Bible Hub on online. You can go on Bible Hub, and you can take any of the books in the Bible, and you can go to whatever version you want, and you can click on the link that says with Strong's Concordance, and you can click on any word in that, and it'll tell you the meaning
that's
with the Strong's Concordance there. So it's really a useful tool.
yeah, I think
But
it would be cool.
yeah. So anyway, that channel, what happened is there was a long period of time that I was one of the early YouTubers that had a lot of online stalking. Okay, and had a terrible, terrible online stalking experience. Me and my whole family, it went through for years, and I had made a decision that I wasn't going to post any longer on that because of that situation. And then my son, Kevin, who passed away, when he started to get in 2020, he became ill, and he started to tell me, Mom, you need to do your channel. You need to go back and start reposting and make videos. Everyone was making videos, you know, and I should have then, because I probably have a lot more views and stuff because of the illness at the time. But
Yeah, I'm my Gail Southern Living channel was started in 2020, so
yeah,
I'm
and
class
I
of
should have
2020.
been, but I didn't. And so I went ahead and renamed the channel and started it back up about a year and a half ago, not even a year and a half ago. Started posting again, posting mainly on, because I did have some homesteading stuff from our off-grid property back then. And I started doing our off-grid stuff, but mainly the channel is me working on projects. I like DIY. I love building stuff. I love my animals and my dogs and everything else. So yeah, we're primarily a farmsteading, homesteading, farming channel, whatever you want to call us, you know, and
Yeah,
DIY. So
yeah. The bigger your channel gets, and I'm not talking to you specifically. I'm talking to everybody in the chat. The bigger your channel gets, the more opportunity there is and the more chance there is that you're going to have someone who's going to try to stalk you, be a troll, be a creeper, say mean things, nasty things, do all the things. Don't pull anybody up on your live that you don't know, and don't pull anybody up on your live that you can't see, because in the backstage you can see the person's face, and if you don't see a face you recognize, do not pull them up. And people can double accounts. So there could be people in here who you think is one person, but they could have another account where they could be nice over here and not so nice over there. So I just want you guys to be aware of that stuff happens, and you just have to keep going. You can't let them derail you from
yeah,
your.
and you have to, you know, I mean, because ours went beyond just online stuff and went to physical stuff and tracking down where we lived. Horrible. And I mean, I don't even like talking about it because I don't want to ever give anybody an opportunity to do that to us again. And so, you know, all I can say on that is just really be careful. I think a lot of it came from phone calls. They get my phone number somehow, call and say, you know, I had this dream and I was up praying for you all night long. I saw me on YouTube. I was praying for you all night long, and you and your family, and you're in danger, and it made it sound like it was part of my channel content type thing. And so you just really have to be careful out there, you know.
Yeah, people are, well, when you talk to someone on yeah, don't give your phone number to just everybody. Be careful about your information. If you've not started a YouTube channel yet, you may consider not putting your real name out there. Just saying. That's my advice. And do not be giving your address to everybody. If you cannot afford a PO box, I suggest you not give it to people.
Yeah, don't put it on. Don't never put their address.
Or at least have it
anyway. You know, I mean, today with
maybe just your core friends
yeah.
that you trust, and
Yeah.
don't just be giving it out to everybody. Just be careful with your information, especially as women. We have to be really, really careful. And as a woman, and all you guys in the chat, this is a hunting family here, so there are pew pews everywhere.
And here. And
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, that deer on the wall in the living room, I got it. Me personally. Yep.
So yeah, you probably saw some of my videos where I'm down there with my little pistol and
Homeless animals. Yeah. Oh, we have one in the backyard that just started hanging out there. Brand new. Yeah. Yeah. Pretty. Um, two people on YouTube. No, three. Two or three people on YouTube have my address. That's it. My real address. Everybody else, I just give the P.O. box to everybody. And I've never really had anybody have trouble sending things there. I get packages, I get letters, I get cards. Everything goes to the P.O. box.
It's kind of like this.
Yeah, I can post it publicly. And anyone, hey, there's no way you're going to ever catch me at the post office because I go there once a week and it's random. It could be a Thursday, Tuesday, Saturday, Sunday. It could be any day of the week. So that's not a good place to stalk me because, and sometimes I skip a week or two before I even go. So that's not a good place to get me. So just so you know.
And I, at this point in my life, the only reason I started posting again is because my son passed away and I decided to get the channel back up because he wanted, he kept telling me I should. So I did it. I did it. But
it's a healing process. I've learned how to speak with people, how to network and communicate and how to make friends and how to kind of get out of my comfort zone. And especially meetups. Meetups can be a little bit intimidating, especially when they're the really big meetups, they could be difficult for me. So I felt very comfortable at Jan's, but that's because Jan was there, And I actually signed up to be Jan's co-host for the meetup next year.
I heard that. That's exciting. And if you guys need any help, let me know.
Yeah, we will. We will. Definitely. Yeah, and you were the reason I got to try lamb. I'd never tried lamb before, so that was cool.
Well, I'm hoping that I would like to see lamb be brought back as a number one meat in the United States like it used to be years ago.
I liked the flavor. I liked the flavor of it. Because I had other choices there to eat. But I was like, well, when are you ever going to get another opportunity to try lamb? So I just had to try it. I was like, and it did. It had a distinct flavor, but I like
it. Has a distinct flavor.
Yeah, it does.
It does.
It does. It doesn't taste like chicken, guys. Lamb tastes like lamb.
Yeah, you'll never say this tastes like beef. No, it's never going to taste like beef. It's never going to taste like
it tastes like deer. Yeah, I grew up in a deer hunting family, so I know what
tastes like deer. Yeah, but yeah, I just think we're at 58 minutes, and I think that if more people are willing to talk about what's going on with the addictions in their families, Gail, I think that it helps stop the enabling. It helps to help the addict, and it heals the family. And so
our families are not perfect.
To do this.
We can't control our family members. They make their own choices and make their own mistakes. And we can't be embarrassed for what our family member did because we didn't make that choice. They made that choice. And then we had to just deal with it because, they made that choice.
Oh, cool, Rebecca. She was able to get a leg of lamb roast at her pantry.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so we just have to be willing to step out and trust God in all things, and lean not into our own understanding.
Yeah. Be open with the things that are wrong with your family so that when you have friends, they're real friends who like you for who you really are and accept you for who you really are. Exactly. And if you say or do something, you know Jan's going to be okay with it. Jan understands where you're coming from. She knows you grew up with an alcoholic father. Your
Yeah.
sister had a drug addiction problem and was homeless. I mean, your friends know what you've been through, and they even
They
know maybe
love you because
they love you because
who you are.
I am Gail because of all of my circumstances I've been through.
Yeah.
I'm sensitive, I'm loving. I sometimes climb up on my soapbox, but I try to be open-minded with people, but that's just me. That's just Gail. That's how I am. So,
Yeah.
but I love people and I would help anyone and I would take the shirt off my back and give it to somebody. Um, and there's no need to steal from me. I'm going to give it to you anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Exactly.
probably have too many of them. And that's one thing that came with the ministry. You realize you have way too much of everything you have, and you could totally have enough to share with other people.
Yeah. And we love who you are, Jan. She says, I am who I am.
I am who I am. Yeah. And you want to have your friends who love you for who you are,
Yeah.
not for who you think you are. Who I am on this live is exactly who I am at the meetup because it's the same person. I'm not trying to put on any airs. I'm not trying to be fake. I might write a few things down, like a few quotes today, just to be professional and just, I might write questions
I
down
thought
for
they were
you.
great quotes. I love those
Thank
quotes.
you. Thank you.
Yeah, I love those
I don't
quotes.
know. I just
And they're
have
truthful.
random thoughts of things and I just pull them out. Oh, I wanted to take the time to mention before we end, I have a brand new collaboration for this channel called hashtag cards for homeless. And what it is if you're willing, if you have time on your hands, okay, maybe you could even wait till the fall to do it if you're too busy right now, but buy some store-bought cards or make some cards, whatever your talent is, or even little postcards or even little index cards. Write down some encouragement for the homeless, some Bible verses, send them to my P.O. box, and I will add them into my bags
Oh,
that
that'd be
I pass
nice.
out. And
Yeah,
if you're okay with it, I'll make a friend mail video to show the cards you sent, and then I'll add them into the bag. So that I think that would be really cool.
yeah,
And
that
that
would
would
be.
be a really good way to get other people engaged in the helping the homeless and encouraging them and just realizing that they need encouragement. They're
Yeah.
they're really insecure. Maybe if we gave them a little bit of encouragement, they would get out there and do the things they need to do. Like my mom's been running into this guy about 4 or 5 times and he got a job. So it
Wow,
works.
that's awesome.
Encouragement works. Positive thinking and saying nice things that they need to hear. I
Yeah.
think it helps. So
I think always we have to show everyone God's love through us, and because what I learned as an addiction counselor, it's a difficult thing to do on your own without God, you know, and those that do find God, or those that open their heart to God, because it's not about finding Him, it's about opening your heart to Him. Those people are so much more likely to succeed than those that just can't, I mean,
yeah.
and I just, it's awesome. It's awesome. And
Thank you, Shannon.
maybe we could just say a prayer to close out today's
Sure.
session.
Sure.
Would that be okay?
Sure.
You want me to pray?
Yes. You want to lead?
Sure. Mighty Father, we humbly come before you this day. We come to give you thanks, and we come to give you praise and say glory to your name. You are the King of kings and the Lord of lords, Father, and there is no other like you. Father, we come and ask and pray that you touch everyone that's been in this audience today, that they might take what they've learned and apply it to their lives, dear Father. They might share it with others. They might share the link with others so that others may have the same information, dear Father. That they might know that you love them and that you're there for them, that they can call out to you and they can have the help that they need, dear Father. Father, we ask and pray that you make sure that we have hearts like yours, dear Father, that when we encounter anybody with problems, any kind of problems, addictions, or whatever they're going through, dear Father, that we look at them through your eyes and not through our judgmental eyes and our hardened hearts, dear Father, that we might see what you see. And then teach us how to reach your children. Father, we love you and we praise you and we thank you for each and every one in this forum today. And we say these things in the mighty name of Jesus Yeshua. Amen.
Thank you, Lynda. Thank you for that prayer. That was awesome. Awesome. Nice ending. Thank you guys all for coming out to listen to our personal stories about our family members with addiction. We hope something touched you there, and, reach out to us if you have some kind of story you want to share. And Lynda, I would love to get together with you to do a devotional about the end times. That would be awesome.
I would enjoy that. I love that.
That would be great.
And please, if you haven't checked out my channel, go check it out.
Yes. If I could have a moderator drop her link real quick in the chat.
What's that?
I said, if I could have a moderator drop your link real quick in the chat. I'm going to go back and put it in the description box of this video.
I appreciate that. And I don't think I don't know if anyone's watching now. My son was.
Let's wait. Let's wait just a couple minutes to see that link drop so people can click on it if they want to. If you're not connected with Lynda from Another Time, click on the link that I believe, let's see, I can throw it in the chat. Let me grab my phone. I can do it real quick.
And I want to thank you, Gail, for having me on here today. I think this has been wonderful.
Yeah, it was a great conversation. I enjoyed it. You guys should check her out. I got to meet her for the first time at the Ozark meetup.
And I'm the same in person as I am on here. Kind of shy, reserved. Let you get to know me, and then I talk a lot. Ask Jan.
Yeah, that was your daughter that was sitting right next. There it is.
My daughter-in-law.
Farm Life put it in. If you're not connected with Lynda from Another Time, click on this link that Kathleen has put in the chat. I don't know if all you guys can see it, if that's on my side or your side, but if you're not connected with her, please click on that link and go by. Watch a video in full, and if you don't have time to watch two, throw one in your watch later list, and that'll make that connection stick, and that's what we want. So definitely.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Jan, thank you and anybody else who came over to my channel, I thank you.
Thank you
guys. It's such a pleasure, and I'm going to be getting off here now so my husband can bring my daughter back in.
Yeah, I'm going to go work on dinner. I just pulled out meat. I didn't decide what I was doing with it. I just pulled it out. That's all I did. So thank you, and
thank you. Thank you.
All right, we're gonna be going, guys. Thank you all for coming in. Thank you for the support on this kind of delicate subject that was probably a little hard for both of us. I can't speak for her, but it was a little hard for me. So thank you for coming in and supporting us on it. And it's always healing, even when you're like me and you broke down and cried a little bit. A little bit of healing came with that cry. So
I'm glad it was you and not me, because I would have been.
I know. I didn't know it would be me. I thought it would be you.
I just sobbed.
I thought it was going to be you, but it was me. Oh no! But anyway, that's okay. It's okay. I'm all right.
Anyway, thanks.
I have feelings, and sometimes they come out. That happens. All right. Thank you, guys. Bye, everybody.
Bye.